Hello. On this video, I want to talk about tuple. Tuple is a data structure to store values. It is crazy similar to lists. However, tuples cannot be changed at all. So let's look at some code. So here I create a tuple and I'm just putting some integers, strings, and some other data type. So to create a tuple, you're going to use parentheses. And if I want to print the tuple, run the program, and it prints the whole thing. If I want to print one single item, I just have to put the index here of whatever item I want to print. So index 0 would be 21. So run the program and I get 21. And if I change the index, I get whatever index I want to get. And just like the list, if I put a negative number, then I start from right to left. This would be negative 1 and 10.5 is negative 2. So I get 10.5 here. Or I can also use a range. So let's say I want to range from 1 to 3. So if I put 4 here, it will not include the index number 4. So this is index 0, this is 1, 2, 3, and we would not include the fourth one. So let's run and take a look. And here's the result in the bottom. Another thing you can do to a tuple is to unpack it. The unpack is when you get all the items in a tuple and assign to single variables. So I want to assign to variables. So let's say I have variable A, B. So if I do that, then the items from my tuple will get stored here. So 21 would be stored in A, pear would be stored in B, dog would be stored in C, and so on. So now if I print C, I'm going to get the dog. In other words, you just unpack everything from the tuple. Now, one thing you cannot do is to change the tuple. You cannot change a tuple. I'm going to try to change a tuple here just to show you. So let's say tuple 0. I'm going to try to assign banana to it. Now, if I run the program, I get an error because you cannot change a tuple. Now, if you try to delete the tuple, now that's a different story. If you do this, you're deleting the entire thing. So after you do that, if you want to print the tuple, then you're going to get an error because at this point here, the tuple does not exist anymore because line 9 completely deleted it. So my tuple is not defined. So if you delete it, you delete the whole thing. There is no way to delete one item only. What you can do, you can convert the tuple to a list. And to do that, I'm going to create a list. And line number 8, I created a list and I converted the my tuple to a list. So now on my list, you can actually change the value of the list. And then after that, you can convert the list back to a tuple. And then finally, you can print the tuple and you will have your value changed. So the index number 0 got changed from pear to banana. Now we can also loop through a tuple. And to do that, you just need a for loop. And you print every single item of the tuple. The next item that I'm going to go over is the check if the item exists. And for that, I'm going to create an if statement here. And then the value that I'm looking for, so let's say I'm looking for value dog. If the dog is there, then I'm going to print found it. What you can do also, you can get the index of an item. And to get the index, I'm going to create a variable here. And here, I'm going to pass the value that I'm looking for. So let's say this time, I'm looking for the item pair. So here, this function gets me the index of the item that's inside the tuple. And then I just print the index. So pair happens to be index number 1. Remember, this is a 0 indexed language. So therefore, the first item is 0. So this is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the next thing I want to go through is the joining two tuples. So if I want to join two tuples. So for that, I'm going to create a couple of tuples here. I'm going to create tuple A and tuple B. And then after that, I'm going to create a third tuple. And the third tuple, I'm going to add the tuple A and the tuple B. And then finally, I'm just going to print the tuple AB. And here you have the two tuples joining in one only. So this is how you join two tuples. And you can do other things with tuples as well. The first thing that comes to mind now is why use tuple? If list can do much more things than the tuple can do, then why should we use tuple? So let's take a look on the reason. So the tuple happens to be a little smaller than the list. So for the next example, I'm going to create a list and a tuple here. So here's a list and here's a tuple, and both of them have exactly the same values. So I'm going to print both of them here, and if I run this, we verify that both of them have exactly the same value. But now the next thing I want to print here is the size of the list and the size of the tuple. So even though they have exactly the same values, I'm going to print here size of the list and then the size of the tuple. So if I run this, I can tell that the list is bigger than the tuple. Now, just for curiosity, I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to run on a different computer now. I'm going to switch computer real quick. So this is a different computer. I'm going to run this. And I have 120 and 104 for list and tuple. So even though it's exactly the same code on a different computer, it gave me different results. However, tuple is still about 15% smaller than list. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.